So thanks for joining me again on this frosty morning. It's actually going to be gorgeous today. I don't know if you can tell, but I can tell. You saw, we were down in the river looking for stuff down there with a metal detector and doing some underwater drone shots to see if we could see anything down there. Don't know what that looks like yet because I haven't reviewed it. But anyway, what we're going to do today is we're not going to spend a lot of time just metal detecting, because we've done a lot of that here, tons of videos doing that. What we're going to do today is what I consider to be the most important part of this whole process. Okay, now we found a site that looks like it could be the fort, fits some of the descriptions of where the fort might be that were written over 100 years after it was destroyed. No one knows. We do know it's not where the state thinks it is. So it could be here. We found all the right artifacts, all the right buttons and melted stuff and bullets and gun parts, but we haven't found or haven't been able to identify actual parts of the fort itself, the structure of the fort. Palisade wall, you've heard me say that a million times. Palisade wall would be a big wall that they would build around like a cabin or something. Could be round, could be square. The way they did it is they dig a trench about 3 feet deep, 18 inches wide, go out in the forest, cut trees, split them in half, put them in there like big fence posts all the way around, and it makes a nice solid strong fence that could be 10 to 15 feet high. Now that 3-foot trench, if it's here, we should be able to find that, okay? Because we know about where the fort is, so just digging little trenches, we should be able to cross that. And we'll see that barrier because this has been plowed so many times. The top part of the soil is dark. Go down to about 12 inches, 12, 14 inches where the plow has reached. And after that, it's a totally different color, much, much lighter. So if the trench is here, we should be able to find it. Now, unfortunately, we don't know if the trench is here. It's only speculation that it was a palisaded fort. And here's what bothers me. Nearby, there's a fort that they know all about, French and Indian War, 1750s, that did not have a palisade, did not have a big protective wall. Basically, all it was a big log cabin with thick walls and places to be able to shoot out between the logs. There's no palisade wall, so there'd be no 3-foot trench that they dug all the way around it. And if this was built like that, then we're not going to find that. But hopefully we can find some evidence of some sort of wall or proof that the fort is here, other than just the artifacts. But right out here, where I'm digging right now, is a very interesting something going on, okay? Now, if I don't know if you remember, but when we first started this video series, one of the things we had to find was melted stuff, because we know the fort burned. If for no other reason, there was an eyewitness who was on that mountain over there behind me, coming over here to warn these guys that the Indians were coming, but it was too late because they had already burned the fort. And he saw the smoke from the top of that mountain and just turned around and left. So we know they burned it. Lots of ashes, charcoal, all kinds of melted stuff in here. We did find the melted stuff, but that's not the whole story, because right over there by that big tree behind me, on that little hillside, there's a site that has a lot of melted stuff, or some melted stuff, melted brass, but I don't think it's related to this site, because some of the buttons we were finding were like 1790s. Everything we found over here was mid 1700s or earlier. So I'm still hopeful this is not related to that. I don't think it is. I really think that was just a cabin that wasn't lived in for very long, that burned probably around the turn of the century, 1800 or so. But let's take a look at what I'm doing here. If you see, the soil is really dark. And I got a layer. Now this is where I was digging. I dug a hole here the other day. That's why I came back here, because it looked weird. But if you look down here, it's dark, 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 dark all the way, and a little bit lighter here. But it's still pretty dark even. I'll clean this up for you, but it's still pretty dark even down here. And I'm starting to hit a bunch of rocks. And one of the things that I think, if they dug a trench and backfilled it, you know, put the logs up and backfill it, they would have probably used some rocks to help backfill it, because it would have been a lot easier, and they could use the dirt for fortifications, you know, to build up little things that would stop bullets and stuff. So I'm really excited about this. I'm going to take this hole and kind of dig it this way a little bit. It's probably a little bit premature. But I have to share this with you because something really cool just happened. Let me show you the hole. I haven't cleaned it up yet, but I'll do that for you, I promise. But I got to show you this while it's fresh. Okay, this is the original hole I was, digging. And I'm digging down, and there's a layer of rocks here. And dark soil still down there. And I'm thinking this could have been where they filled in the trench, maybe. There's no rocks there, there's rocks here. I'll have to dig this way a little bit more. And if I get out of the rocks again, this could be the edge of one of the trenches. But what happened just now is I was digging right there. And I was seeing this black stuff. And was kind of looking at it. And I think it's probably, I can't tell if that's some charcoal on there or organic matter or just a rock. But while I was looking, this little musket ball came rolling out of dirt right there. Just like that. That musket ball was down this deep right here. I believe under this rock layer. All right, now what I'm going to do, let me do this real quick. I'm going to get the metal detector out. Let's run it across here, see if we hear any more targets. Then I'm going to clean up the soil profile all through here so you can see, so we can both see what's going on. Really dark, really dark. I think this was definitely a hole that was dug, but we're on to something. I think this is going to be a good feature right here. All right, let me get the metal detector. It's over there, and we'll check it together. We're going to check it with a metal detector, but I just want to show you, these are some of the rocks I'm getting out of there. Anyway, so let's go ahead and just test this real quick, see if there's any metal down this far. And I'm pretty sure that's where that musket ball came out. I think I'm hearing metal there. Pretty sure that's not going to be just the ground. This is the dirt I dug out. Let me move my little shovel. We can't really tell too much from this because this could have been from, it was all scooted around and close in the plow zone. Okay, I'm not really hearing much there, but I think that's a piece of iron right down in the hole, about where that musket ball came from. That's definitely charcoal right here. Look at that. I'm not sure what level that came out of. And of course some Indian, this piece of flint, I think. Yeah, a little piece of flint. So that's all mixed in from the plow zone probably, but yeah, there's iron there. I'm gonna have to dig out really careful. We'll be very careful when I dig that to make sure 100% that iron actually is at that level and didn't fall off the side while I was digging the hole, because that happens a lot to people. They'll say, oh yeah, I dug a musket ball down 2 feet. Well, I could have dug a musket ball at 2 feet, but more likely, normally, it was in the sidewall, and as they're digging, it fell down at the bottom of the hole because they couldn't find it because it was in the sidewall. I don't think this is the case. So I'm gonna get all the loose dirt out of there, and we'll check it again with the metal detector, and then we'll try to pinpoint and find that target to make sure it is in undisturbed soil, well below the plow line, no doubt in my mind. So undisturbed since the French and Indian War, I guess I should say, because it has been disturbed. Well, I have good news and I have bad news. The bad news is that once I got all of the little pieces cleaned up, all the loose dirt, that iron signal disappeared. So it was a little piece of iron that could have fallen down from up here, could have been from that level, could have been from where I dug the hole a few days ago. It was over in that area. Okay, so that could have actually been where I had backfilled it. There's no way for me to prove it one way or the other. Musket ball, on the other hand, did come from right here. So I think it was at this rock level right here. Okay, it looks like we have something going across. This could be natural, but I kind of doubt it. It drops off here. There's more rocks here. Even when I'm digging down in there with a trowel, it just looks like there's still organic stuff down in this dirt too. Not hitting any iron, but don't have to really. So see how dark it is right there? So that could be part of a trench still. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this back a little bit further to see what this does. Does it just end here? Does it keep going? And is it part of a giant 30 or 90 foot circle? We just don't know. But look at all the flint. There's still flint down in there. But I think this is colonial era. I don't think it's prehistoric. All right, give me a few minutes. I'll get it dug out a little bit more. Okay, let's take a look at what we have here. I dug out a bunch more stuff. It's still indecisive. Well, I'm still not decided as to exactly what this is, but let me show you. This is the deep part of the pit that I dug. And you see this layer of rocks right here, which looks suspicious. But there's some rocks going up that way too, up toward the surface. Now there's a lot of rando rocks in there, just random ones. That were up higher that I just pulled out because that's in the plow zone for sure. So I know that's about 12 inches deep here. These aren't in the plow zone. This is below that, so I know a tractor or farmer has not disturbed these. Kind of looks like these were, you know, the placement of them is suspicious. You got this one back here. This actually looks like it's fire-ridden. If this is part of a, you know, colonial feature, I don't want to destroy it for any archaeologists that will come in here, and I hope to get some in here eventually. But the problem is, and I think I already told you this in part of the other video in the lead up to all this stuff when we first found it, was that they think the fort's back there, but they could not get grants or funding to actually do an archaeological dig there because there's not enough evidence that the fort was there. And there's not enough evidence, of course, because it wasn't there. There was a 1790s house there, but not the fort. I think this is the fort. And I believe that, considering what we've found and what I'm looking at right here in this hole, that they should be able to get funding. An archaeologist should be able to get funding to do a dig out here. So I think I'll talk to my college professor, and he's an archaeologist, and that's the guy I learned from, and see if he would be interested in doing this as a, you know, a summer project for, you know, the kids, the college kids, just like I did with him back in 1980s. You know, I spent 6 weeks working with him, 3 weeks in the field and 3 weeks in the lab learning this stuff. So it might be a good payback for me, and this would be good written history, good history for the state, for local community, for the state, and it'd be nice to get it actually professionally documented and authenticated. This isn't professional. I know it isn't, but I know that we have to find enough evidence so that someone like him can get a grant from the state, get some free money to set up a dig, because it's not cheap. All right, so I'm going to dig just a little bit more in here. I'm not going to move these rocks, like I said, and I'm going to mark this exactly where this is with a special marker on the surface, so that if he does want to come out here and take a look at the site, we can dig right down to here, and he can look at that if he wants to. Well, I guess I shouldn't have turned the camera off so fast. As soon as I turn the metal detector on, I have a very, I'm not going to say it's going to be a great artifact, but it makes my heart go pitter-pat knowing where it is. Yeah, the first thing I did, of course, turn the machine on. I'm listening, and right here is a piece of iron. Okay, that to me is absolute proof that what I'm digging right here is not a prehistoric artifact. This isn't something the Indians dug and built 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago. It's not a fire pit that they made. It's not anything that they made, because it's a piece of iron. It's probably going to be a nail down that's way below the plow line. That's inches below the plow line. It doesn't sound like a lot, does it? But it is. That's what she said. Anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can pinpoint this little target with the pinpointer. Try to get you out of the glare. So it should be right in here. I have not dug here yet at all. This is all just nice natural soil right here. There's a rock. So whatever it is, it's right here. Under this rock, well below the plow line. This was not put here by Native Americans, or, well, I'm a Native American, but you know what I mean. We all are if you're born here. This was done, but you know, let me get my little trowel out. I think it's just going to be a little piece of nail, but you know, whether it's a nail or gold coin doesn't matter. It's the proof that we need. And nothing we have found on this site, I mean nothing that isn't modern, post dates like 1760s. Everything is 1760 or before. It's gonna be under that. I'm gonna have to move that because I want to see. I want to see. This is what we came here to do, is get proof. Proof that this is a structure made by people that had iron. That's right there. It's a piece of bone too, look. That's a little tiny piece of bone. See that white right there? Now I've found, you know, quite a few of these pits have bones in them. Of course, that's what they would have eaten. Oh God, all this. You know, I'm always worried about this. Probably not for a good reason, but I'm always worried about finding a piece of bone like that where the signal is going to be a melted button. Because keep in mind, the people that were in this fort, the militiamen and the surrounding farmers that took shelter in this fort, they were never heard from again. It was assumed that they're all slaughtered here on the spot. So their bones are probably still here. Next, like I said, next hill over, fort attacked next day, and they killed most everybody. Although few people escaped, and they took some captives that were later ransomed. But I always have to keep in the back of my mind when I find a bone, which is probably just a cow bone or a possum bone or something they were eating, that it could be human remains. So just, you have to show respect there. And if I think it's human remains, I will absolutely stop digging. In fact, the bones that I've found so far, I have had looked at, and it's been the opinion of the bone expert that they weren't human. I just want to get that out of the way, just so you guys understand what's going on here. Okay, there it is. Let's see, put this thing down. I think that's it right there. It's a big piece of iron. So that's 100. I'm going to get a picture of this, because that's exactly what I was looking for right there. That's exactly what I was looking for. There is no, it's perfect. This is proof enough for me to go to my archaeologist friend and say, hey, dude, you got a grant proposal to write, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome, dude. Awesome. We'll be here too. It's going to be part of the deal, is I get to be here when they do the dig. That's awesome. Let me grab a couple pictures real quick and we'll dig it out. Okay, let's go ahead and pull it out of there. Pretty sure that's it. Piece of iron, I think. Right here. Little chunks of bone. So we have, what do we have? This is a nondescript chunk of iron. But that might as well be a gold ring for me, because that tells me, well, you know the story. I've explained it to you 100 times. Man, that thing's beat up, whatever it is. It's like broken there and broken there. It looks like it was some type of bar of iron that's broken. So I'm just going to clean it up a little bit more. We'll get a picture of what's going on here. But this is good. This is really, really good. I'm a happy camper. Okay, I got some really good pictures of it, and I haven't really dug any more on it, but I took the pinpointer out and I put it back in the hole where I found the piece of iron. And there's some more metal in there, so I'm going to dig it out just because we're here and we can, right? So up in here is some more iron. So I'm kind of curious about that. What I'm going to do, maybe with you here, so just take a little trowel and just kind of, not very scientific, I know, but, well, we're not scientists. Amateur sleuths. I have no idea what that piece of iron could be. That thing is, it's like a big bolt or some sort. That's broken. That piece of flint. See, this was an area of Indian occupation too. Like I said, for you know, many thousands of years, maybe 10,000 years, who knows. Now, I don't know if this is going to be iron or tiny or big or what. Whatever it is right there. Hope it's not to be a melted butter. It's really gummy down in there. It's really gummy soil. A lot of clay in it. A lot of rocks. Some lighter colored soil there too. That's kind of like that, but it's definitely bone in there. Now, normally I just rip into it with a shovel, but since it's in this kind of structure-y thing, I don't want to disturb it too much. Leave it for the archaeologists to come in here. Of course, if they don't have any interest in it, we'll just come in here and not really. I wouldn't do that. Naturally, I have to check with the owner first to see if he even wants to do that. Well, that's weird. I'm not hearing it now. Once I got it up out of here. All right, whatever it is right in here. Pretty small, isn't it? It's probably more iron. Be a lot easier to get with a metal detector. Man, it's a little piece of lead, look. Alright, so this is a little piece of melted lead. What is melted lead doing way down there? It's almost like the sprue off a bullet, doesn't it? Where they poured a bullet. See right there? Well, they might have snipped it. Don't know for 100%. But yeah, so there's more metal down there. So we know that is not a Native American or an Indian a pit of any kind. It's definitely colonial or later. Wow, that's awesome. That is really awesome. Got another little piece of lead out of it, out of the loose dirt that I dug out of there. So it's apparently little blobs of lead in there. All right, I'll run the metal detector over it and maybe clean it up, get one more shot of it, then we'll button her up. We're working on this feature, and I'm a little confused. I'm going to get some better pictures of that once the sun gets a little lower in the horizon, because it's just too much light and dark. All right, so we have what looks like something there. That's stone. We know that there's iron and melted lead underneath it, so that is at least colonial era or later. Even in the bottom of that hole, there's dark soil, so that was dug up too. So we have this here. I dropped back a few feet, dug this, and I'm not hitting any rocks. But over here, I started hitting rocks at the same depth. So this is part of a wall. Maybe I just missed it on this one. I don't know. And I started digging over here. I haven't got down quite as far, but I hit the plow zone there for sure. That's just a totally different type of soil, and it's hard. So I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. I just don't know. If this was a wall, palisade wall, it should be over there. So I don't know what this is right here. Jury's out. Jury is still out on that one. Bunch of jumbled rocks put in there back in the day. I don't know. I'm having a little trouble with this. And of course, a big rock on that side. I don't know. You guys have a clue? I'm going to mark this really good before I cover it in. I'm going to dig around a little bit for a few minutes, let the sun get down a little lower. We'll get one last roundup of what's in that hole. Get a couple of pictures real quick. Then I'll cover it up. I'm really happy. I really am. I don't know about you guys. I made some artificial shade with my truck so I can get this thing backfilled. Let me show you what we have. This is the roundup of this video, and we'll call it a day on this one. Big rocks here. I mean, you see charcoal and stuff. There was iron and melted lead underneath them. Musket ball rolled out from underneath that one. Pretty deep right there. I think it still goes down. Very interesting. I dug a hole here, no rocks. Hole here had rocks. Hole here was totally different where the shovel is. There was like no dark soil. It was just light soil. So it was like I'm outside of whatever this is all about. Don't know. Again, we don't know if this is a round palisade fort, a square palisade fort, or just a fort that didn't have a palisade. But that's something. That's a dead clue right there. I just have to do some more research on this and think about it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get that thing, take some pictures, close it up, and there's a couple other places I want to dig that may shed more light on what we're dealing with overall in the structure or the site. That's awesome, man. Come back, okay? I'm gonna have some more stuff. There's gonna be more videos, I guarantee it. I'll see you on the next one. I hope. Big round baby, and I'll rock you until I go to sleep. She'll shake the coins from your pocket, take your gold chain and your locket. Mother Earth has no sympathy. She'll take the ring from your hand and bury it in the sand and keep it for eternity.